Hey, what's up, Low Voltage Nation? So this next video is so important to me. It's myself, Kyle Baker, talking about what we do as a community to help people carve out a fulfilling career path in low voltage and technology. And we're going to be starting this mentorship and fundraising and job shadowing program for a kid that needs the help and the resources to be successful. So please watch this next video. And if you have any questions, reach out to Kyle Baker or myself. It would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much. What's your name? What do you do?
So Kyle Baker in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm not originally from here, from Spokane, Washington. Just kind of traveled around the country. I used to be in the golf business, so kind of floated around. And then after I finished a degree, ended up in sales in the security world. After about 2.5 years in it, decided I was just going to be ballsy enough to start my own company. So
when did you start? The name of the company is Sophia, correct?
Yeah, Sophia Consulting and Integration. So I had a sales rep job with a rep firm where we repped like Conwa and Comnet, a couple other lines in Alabama. And then when I had my daughter, I wanted a job where I traveled a little less. Not that I had a terrible travel time, but it was just better. So I moved to a local integration company. And then pretty much a few months into that, I was like, I got to do something myself.
Yeah, good choice.
It was just one of those things where like I kept running into other people's work that was really janky, messed up, not to me, that wasn't taking care of the customer well.
Correct.
And then there was like a lot of integrity issues that existed in the company I was working for. And I like really struggle in that environment, especially being in sales. Like I'm a people person, so I always end up in sales, but I'm not a salesy person. I'm like very consultative. I like really care about people. And so even when it was like, hey, your wisest choice is actually not to use me, like I'm honest enough to say that, and it doesn't really doesn't fit well in some sales cultures. So
you've been spinning up your new company, and I've kind of seen a lot of it grow over the last, I guess, couple months since you joined the community. And it's been kind of, because you got your car all wrapped, you're getting your tools, you're getting projects. Like it's looking good, man.
You gotta see ground floor. I mean,
I
started spitballing ideas about this company back in probably April or May of 2019, and then like I took a step in May. I was like, I'm going to do this at some point. So, I got my logo created, the name, which Sophia, I'll give you a spiel on that. So Sophia means wisdom in Greek. And so like my whole desire is guiding people in wisdom so they can make wise decisions.
Love it.
And I just felt like with the amount of money people are spending, how important the technology that we're like installing for people is, it's important for them to make wise decisions. And I just saw people kind of taking like, buying a car approach where, like something disastrous happens, like, I got in a wreck or whatever. And then people like within 2 days make a $35,000 purchase, right, for a car. And then like, you weren't researching that, doing anything. And same thing happens in security. It's like, oh, we had a break in and now I need cameras, I need access control.
Yeah.
I just spent $150,000 and somebody just rolled you over on it.
Exactly. Yeah. This is, security and life safety. You need to like make these wise decisions. Yeah, I get it.
And there've got to be things. I think the biggest thing was I was seeing people, even when people were doing quality work, a lot of times they were getting locked into technology and brands and stuff that like didn't allow them flexibility to grow in the future, to make a decision and say, hey, you're not serving me well as an integrator. I should be able to fire you, but I can't because you're the only dealer around here who sells this product or something like that.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just not right to do to people. But so, I mean, I literally kind of go in with the approach like, hey, if I don't serve you well, I want you to be able to fire me. And I want you to be able to wipe all the equipment that I sold to you and put something else on there if it's not doing well for you. Yeah. So that's like, that's side conversation.
Yeah, no, that's good. And so leading up to our conversation here, you approached me about this, we're doing some fundraising stuff. We're trying to do some mentorship programs. So talk to me about like what we're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, man. So honestly, the real reason I started the company has nothing to do with security. Like until like 2 years ago, didn't know anything about security. I'm not like overly passionate about the industry or whatever. But what I found is that I think it's a career field where people can legitimately support families, make a living, and it's something where you don't need to go have a bachelor's degree to get into. And so, something I'm really passionate about in our city is providing opportunity. The organization that Sophia is actually an LLC that is started underneath a nonprofit. So we're actually owned by a nonprofit called the Common Thread Community. And what we do is essentially find ways to create opportunity, create avenues for connection for marginalized and oppressed communities and people groups. And so it's a big part of what we do. Like we live in areas where we see that happening, and then try to start businesses that serve the community in that way. Or ministries, there's like kind of two aspects of it. And so Sophia, like honestly, is about creating a skilled trade that people can have a flexible career, move around the country or even the world, and be able to take their skill set and go make a living wherever opportunity allows them to. And so I think that was one of the biggest things that I've seen in my exposure to the world is that there is just a limitation on what opportunity looks like for people. We kind of, I think, too easily kind of move to this, like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps kind of thing, but you might not even have bootstraps. Or boots.
Exactly.
So, like that's like this fallacy that exists, that people can just like work hard and everything can fall right for them. But you have to look at the opportunities that you were presented, allowed, whether it be from a cultural standpoint or just like, family, socioeconomic status, whatever it was. And so is reach, I think, like these kind of pockets of communities around our city, particularly reaching young people, so that it's an option for them to consider trade in school before graduating college. They may be graduating high school to where they are thinking about it and might consider, I'm not going to go the traditional university route, something like that, because like some people just don't do well in our education structure and system.
Yeah, that's me. Guys? Yeah, I can relate.
I do great in that system. It doesn't mean I learned anything. Though. Like I got a 4.0 through like I almost had a 4.0 in college, and there were so many classes where I couldn't recall anything, and but I'm smart enough to see it, or like able to kind of see the structure and know this is how you get an A in this class.
Right. Yeah.
This is how you get an A on a test, and I like don't. I'm not afraid of like test taking and things like that. Some people just have like test anxiety. So
that's me.
If you have test anxiety, you for sure cannot succeed in our education system.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're not smart or capable. It just means you don't do well on the written stuff,
Yeah.
So that was one of those things. Like I taught sixth grade for like one semester. So I don't have like a wealth of experience.
Yeah.
But I taught sixth grade in like a community that was in a failing school district. And one of the things I saw is like there were some brilliant kids there in my class, but some of them just don't do well like sitting behind a desk. They need to be interactive. They need to get outside and play. There's just so many elements and stuff to it. And then like you throw in their family lives at home and a lot of things. So anyways, to say, Sophia exists to create employment, create career opportunity. And the way we're doing that is kind of through that nonprofit arm. Is what we're trying to do is, take in donations and leverage this nonprofit side to create opportunity. So I may not, I'm obviously still spinning up my company. Like I went full time in end of May, like middle pandemic. And so it's pretty hard to like bring somebody on right away, but like there's an opportunity there. I'm like, okay, how can I maybe mitigate some of the onboarding costs, make sure that this guy is qualified and trained. And honestly, it's one of the things that we'll talk about in a minute is like, I want him to not be locked down to Sophia.
Sure.
When I bring somebody on like that, I want it to be genuinely investing in them to where, we talk about like when Sprinter Datacom, Chris, Tiffany are like posting these dope jobs where, a 25-year-old would just love to have. Like, I could travel the country, like $40 an hour and, whatever, like all that stuff, like you just work on cool sites and everything, that he should be able to take that if it comes up. And I want that for him. So,
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of the big purpose of what we do.
Yeah, that's good. And back to the education thing where, some people, it's better for them to go and do 4 years of on the job training and experience and get paid for it
Yeah,
than to spend a bunch of money going to debt,
yeah,
get all these, and not have really anything to show for it except a piece of paper that says I can take tests. So there's
yeah,
a lot of value in that, but some people
yeah.
just don't know how to do it.
Oh, a
So
lot of times you make less coming out of like if you go into trade, you'll make less coming out of college than you do within those 4 years working in a trade.
exactly. Yeah, you can get up to a six-figure income if you really go hard in the paint, for the next 4 years. So
Yeah.
there's definitely an opportunity. But yeah, I love the whole mission. I love what you guys are for, and the name of the nonprofit is Common Threads. Is
Yeah,
that
common
correct?
thread. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is perfect. So what is the next step, do you think, in order to get, Low Voltage Nation on board? What do we need to
Mhm.
get some fundraising going on, some tools? Like what do you think we need to do?
Yeah. So I actually spent a little bit of time. I know I sent you this, but I kind of put together a list of certifications, training, and tools that I wanted to supply for our first potential employee. So kid's name is Jamie Weld. I didn't talk about it specifically yet, but um, anyways, he's been working off and on. I hire him for day labor when I can bring him on to jobs and just like pulling cable, something. Um, and what I did was just kind of in considering, okay, what is it going to take to bring him on? Obviously, I had to like figure out from a company standpoint, what are my insurance costs, all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
that's kind of all on me, so to speak. Like that's part of just owning a business in general. But things I wanted to equip him with that I think go with him wherever he goes are the tools and then the experience, right?
Sure.
So I want to supply tools that are his, not the company's.
Right.
So we put together a list of kind of like the LVN gold stamped, equipment tools, from the Milwaukee drills to the vertical cable, iTool, all that kind of stuff. And then I put there, um, two classes that I took that I thought were really well. One that's kind of a state requirement. It actually wasn't helpful at all. It was a terrible class, to be honest. But
Okay.
you need it to be
But you
to
need
be a
it. It's
qualified agent.
required.
So I
Gotcha.
want him to be a qualified agent. And then the other one was an IPVM class
Yeah.
that I took. I actually did find very helpful because until like last fall, I had never installed anything in low voltage. I hadn't terminated a network cable before. I hadn't hung a camera. I didn't know anything about it because I've
Yeah.
never been like a hands-on, like blue collar kind of guy. I've always ended up in like just places where I'm using my brain.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I had to just get in the dirt and start learning, right? And
I love
so
it.
that
Yeah.
was IPVM like camera installation 101 course, and it was actually really great. I learned a lot. So
That's
I mean, I
good.
learned
That's good to hear. Yeah, I love it.
about different types of ladders, like what type of fasteners to use for different types of
Yeah.
walls, ceilings, and everything. I actually thought it was great. So I'd love for him to go through that.
Let's do it.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then obviously I put together tools. And then what I really want for him too is because I'm pretty new at this stuff and I'm learning a ton right now. Is I want to send him to several of our LVM pros around the nation
Yep.
and let him learn from people who have years, decades of experience, who are experts in their field, who are like masters of their craft. Because that's what I want for him. So I kind of view my master craft as more of like the business consulting and running a business side of things, and I'm
Yeah.
just doing all the install stuff now because I've got to
You
get to
got
that
to.
point.
Yeah.
And so, but I want him to like really own this. He seems really interested in it, and part of the reason I joined Low Voltage Nation and went LVN Gold was one, it was a positive community in general. It felt like a safe place. I was like, when I just was reading about it, I was like, dang, people actually are like gonna get to collaborate and figure out how to do some stuff, and I can reach out to some consultants to help me on a design because I run into stuff almost every project where I'm like, how do
Yeah.
I do that?
Oh, we
Exactly.
know. We love your questions, man. Building
I'm
a whole
constantly
a whole knowledge base around your questions. I love it, man.
I'm literally in that Slack every day,
It's
and
great.
I'm just like, I read everybody else's posts, and even if it's not relevant to me, I'll like open up the thread and read what Marco
Yeah,
wrote and what
exactly.
Mason wrote about stuff, just because I want to know. And then, like I said, I obviously blow up the channel with questions about, hey, how do you do this? What would you use for X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
But it's great. Like, even, I mean, I wish I could. I don't think I took good enough pictures for it, but I'll just send you the very first access control install I did back in May.
Mm-hmm.
First time branching out, and I kind of got like thrown this opportunity without the guy like knowing I hadn't actually done the install before. But I had like designed access control systems for a couple of years, so like I felt confident on the design part, but I had zero clue how to actually put it together. I'm like, I gotta drill into this guy's storefront and put double mag on here and reader here and all this. And to make it worse, it was wired by somebody else. So it was like, and all the wiring was wrong.
Yeah.
So there was a cluster to deal with. But even just, I care about it, obviously. So I brought in a couple of people, pretty much made no margin on this first one. Brought in a couple of people who more knew what they were doing, but they weren't like LVN gold standard type stuff. They'd been in the industry a while. And so we put it together. It worked. We had to do a lot of like figuring some stuff out. I ordered, can size that was kind of wrong. And it just ran into all these like little stumbling blocks.
Yeah.
And then that same company did an expansion, same size and everything. And that was the one I recently posted that actually like LVN shared on the stories and stuff. But like the difference in how clean the cans looked and how clean the wiring was, and using my EMT between the enclosures, just like little things
Exactly.
over the top in excellence.
Yeah.
That make people like look at it and think, oh wow, that's great.
Yeah. Even subconsciously, when you see that clean work, like if you don't even know what you're looking for, like it's just like a work of art. But not only that, it's functional, and it's just how it's supposed to be done is what we're really trying to drive home.
Yeah, I open up so many. I get called in for access control a lot. It's kind of ended up being our niche right now. And
Are you serious? That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. I got my business partner now, who like kind of became my business partner after the fact. He runs a locksmith franchise, and that's where he kind of cut out his niche. And the locksmith world was actually subcontracting for access control. So I started hiring him for my sub work on access control, and now he's become like my business partner.
Nice.
And we're just working on everything together. So
cool.
It takes a lot off of me, which is great. But their access control install on the edge, like the door side of things, is freaking phenomenal. You won't find anybody else around who does it better. And so that has allowed me to kind of focus on making sure the head end side and the programming is all right,
Good. Yeah.
And we found a cool niche there, and every time we take another step forward, and it is really satisfying. It feels great to have work that I can like take pictures of and share,
So back to, the job shadowing component to this, I've got a couple people that are willing to have Jamie come on site. So we're looking at different things, like maybe getting some like Delta miles, maybe some like Hilton Honors points, transferring that over to him to help absorb the cost. So that might be pretty cool. But I think it's, like you said, it's really beneficial for somebody to go on site and know that they're being mentored by somebody that we see their pictures, we know them, they're already like trusted partners and ambassadors and directors of Low Voltage Nation. So I think it's a huge opportunity. Like the reason I started Low Voltage Nation was because I wanted that for myself. So I just built a mentorship program for me, basically, which is so it's awesome to see like
and
you
trying to quit Low Voltage, you're like
it's so cool, man, to see like you come up, and then now we're gonna bring Jamie up. Like I love this. I'm so on board with this. Like I'm really excited. I'm glad you approached me with it. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks a lot about the community that like kind of the proof was in the pudding, so to speak, where I joined it, invested in it, and I'm seeing fruit from it, and therefore I feel confident to go back to these people and say, hey, like I trust you with my employee and my friend, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a cool place to be in. And yeah, going back to what you said about like donating Sky Miles, all that kind of stuff, like that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I've got all these points and stuff I'm accumulating, and I'm hoping to send him on like, at least 3 mentorship trips a year,
Yeah.
for the first year or two, where, he can go do stuff that like I'm just not in a place as a company to do yet. And
Sure.
like you said, so what we're doing also for that is through the nonprofit Common Thread. We're creating like a landing page on our website and links to that through their giving. And we can do things where it's like cash, where cash and stuff is earmarked specifically for Jamie and buying the tools and stuff. Like I sent you the list of tools and everything. So if people want to just donate material or donate Sky Miles and stuff, there's also tax write-offs for that kind of stuff as well.
Right.
All I need is essentially people's contact info and what they gave, and then the dollar value of what that product or mileage is worth. And then that way, I was just so everybody knows like the legitimate side of it. You'll get your tax write-off, things like that. So
Cool. Well, I think that about sums it up. Was there anything else we needed to cover? I think this has been pretty good hanging out and talking about it.
I just want to like kind of affirm the LVN space, dude. Like let's just honestly keep it going, keep growing, keep making it a positive environment.
Exactly.
So, especially as it goes, I know there's going to be like people who come in who aren't a part of this type of culture, and it's kind of going to be a part of the community responsibility to set the tone for like, hey, this space is for people who don't know what they're doing and everything. And so like when people come in and or like we've all experienced it, whether it's in Facebook groups or IPVM and all that stuff, it's just bashing people nonstop.
Yes.
But this is like to me a real opportunity for people in LVN to put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and say like, hey, this is what we said we're about, and this is what we want for ourselves and what we believe in. And so like this is kind of like the first wave this year. Like you're seeing, I'm a fruit of it, where my business is growing, evolving, and becoming excellent. But I really want people to like really see Jamie and the next people who come along as like, this is our guy, and really kind of take ownership of that relationship and his quality and excellence as a tech in the field. So
I love it. That's great, man. Well, thank you for your time, Kyle, and I appreciate all the support. And I'll see you in Slack, and we'll
every day.
We'll keep in touch, man. I'll chat with you soon. All right. Take care.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. See ya.